episode 3, just doing a bit of recap on gold's price action through the last week. Now, it was quite a good week. It was a very good week for gold, actually, and played out pretty much exactly the same. Well, exactly as we sort of put forward through with our analysis last week. So I'll put a link just up at the top right over here, just so you can go back, have a look at sort of what we were sort of, our thought pattern was sort of leading into this week. But just as a quick sort of recap of it all, I mean, we got this price action coming down. This is where last week sort of finished up. It had sort of just come down back on the Friday, hit that sort of top side of that sort of previous sort of resistance zone. So it was testing for new support. And yeah, look, we said it was going to grind along here and then sort of move back up. And as you can see, it's pretty much sort of what has happened here. So if you look at the price action of this week and that, sort of compared with the example that we were talking about last week, it's pretty much exactly the same. So it comes down, it's got that big sort of thrust down, it sort of starts to move back up. You're grabbing some buys, some liquidity, people are getting on board. They're putting those stops underneath the previous lows, because that's where the textbook says. The textbook says if it makes a lower low, well, it's going down. Now, the thing is with these, you got to wait. Realistically, you could say, okay, I've got to wait for the candle to close, but even here, it looks like they've sort of stopped people out here as well. But you need to allow for the distance. You can't just go, okay, I mean, what's that, 73 down to 58. That's, $5 move down on gold price. But, you need to understand that these things are going to do these little fishing expeditions, and they're going to come down here, do the stop hunts, hit the stops, and as this one, you see this one here ran up, this one ran up here as well. So that was an interesting sort of little one to sort of see play out. If you look at this little pattern that it actually sort of started to make through this first thrust up here after it sort of based it a little bit, so we jump on the 1 hour, you can see a sort of bit of a head and shoulders pattern sort of play out. So we've got this sort of nice sort of left shoulder, head shoulder, and then you've got the neckline coming through here. So that one really sort of played out very well. But of course, as I said, gold doesn't just get up and go. It'll come back and it'll hit stops. It'll hit the people that sort of, they get into a nice long position. They're thinking, okay, I'm just going to hold this one, get, nice. I mean, even if you just bought the break, you've got a $10 move to the top side there. But, if you preempt these ones and buy off the support zone here, I mean, you're up. You've got $15 move on gold and to the top side. A lot of people sort of get sucked in and they'll go, okay, look, I'm just going to move my stops to even. But the thing is, it's sort of like this is a support zone, so that's what it is. It's support. So if price comes down here, it's like they've moved their stops to even, come back down, hits the stops, and they get taken out, and then you get the move. And this is what I was saying, that gold, it ultimately respects the chart very well. Like if you look at sort of the zones where it's hitting, it starts to respect the same areas time and time again. And, a nice channel, and then, now it's in this nice new sort of channel coming up onto the top side. But the price action around that will come back and sort of stop you out if you're not sort of prepared for it all. So we got this nice grind sort of sideways, as we were saying last week. So if you jump back on the 4 hour there, sort of see you got this nice little grind along sideways, little sort of stop hunt down here, and then a nice sort of flowing higher lows, higher highs moving forward, coming up here. Now, so I've drawn sort of two different sort of channels through here. Like I'll tend to have a couple of different lines drawn up for the channels, because this was the original channel that we were sort of working off last week, and obviously sort of the Monday session and that it came down and sort of went for those stops down there, so it almost looked like it wasn't being respected. But the thing is, it had been respected a couple of times, even on that sort of sell down on Friday, just after Joe Powell spoke. It pretty much respected it to the cent on that one there. So I'll always have a couple of lines drawn, because I mean you don't know exactly where they're sort of pushing it for, but once you start to see these things respected a little bit more, then you can really sort of delete the other ones. You can know what they're sort of working off with their price action. So price sort of came through. Our target was 1800 for the week. We got that big push on dollar weakness as well on the Friday session, so that came through well. And same sort of thing we were sort of saying, like again, if you're sort of following me on Twitter, you'll see these things that I'm saying, that price is moving up with it all. Once it's starting to get up, I mean 1790 Had a big sort of rejection down here. That was the Wednesday night. I remember sort of trading that one. So I got off with a couple here, and then sort of does these shakeouts. But once it sort of came up here, and particularly once it started to go through 1790, that was a big sort of key indicator that, okay, this is where they're trying to take it. They're trying to run for that 1800. They wanted to test that area. And you got to think, if you're a bull, you're going to probe that area. And if I'm, selling, again, same sort of thing as it is down here, but it's just on the other side. Where's the textbook place? Well, the textbook place is to sort of say, okay, above that high, I'll put my stop. So technically higher high, okay, it's continuing on. And yes, look, it will go there, but what you'll see with that price action is that it'll hit 1800, it'll trigger a whole bunch of stops, which in turn, you don't need buyers for this then. You've just got shorts that are covering, which in turn have to buy, which then give that a little bit more of a catapult up north. So this is how we sort of really got up to this next level here, topping out at sort of 1814. Geez, I didn't even actually see got those few. I thought 1811 was the high, but yeah, that was a great move, and really nice that it's a price action was respected there. So I mean, if you look at the if we flip onto the daily, then we're starting to see a bit more of a structured move. Now, sort of clean this up a little bit. So, I mean, we don't know what lines they're really going on, but just for the moment, we'll just take these ones out. But, you're starting to see a little bit of a sort of sideways range come along here. And this is where I was saying that sort of like if that 1800 area was closed above, would have been better. But there's no reason why we can't, if you get a strong push early in the week, that you can't be sort of looking for at least a test of 1830. I mean, you may sort of find that it just sort of hits it like it did back here. I mean, it's been respected a few times. May sort of come up and hit here and then sort of come back down again, and we just continue on with this sideways grind. But as well, at the same time, if you grab out your trend lines and actually start to sort of pull a little bit of a channel here, you're starting to see that these lines are starting to line up quite well with a sort of bit of a downward channel. So I mean, this is obviously, I mean, wicks, these massive long wicks aside and that, but the same sort of thing wherever it was back when we sort of dropped on that Sunday night. You've got these massive wicks, but it's testing the top side of this downward channel at the moment. So pulling away from a continuation of a channel is a good early indicator that you're going to be breaking, or at least testing the top side or bottom side, which depending which way you're going on the channel, that you're going to see a break in a change in pattern. And as you see, like if this was going to continue down, I would have expected this drop here to be sort of coming down here, which, I mean, realistically, that could have lined up quite well, because obviously this is a bit of a support zone we've seen respected quite a few times recently. So, for price to sort of come down here, that was a fairly obvious spot, and I think a lot of bears were sort of looking for gold to be, I'm going to wait till it sort of gets to this sort of 1680 line and that, and if it goes under that, well, it's going to fall off a cliff and all this kind of stuff, and that's fair enough. I mean, as the price is coming down here, you could definitely see that would be where they were driving for, but the fact that it was able to find support midway through this sort of downward channel, and then find buyers enough to sort of push it up to retest the top side again, and not only once, but we've got sort of two touches, within the last week, or sort of week and a bit, sort of just here, shows that definitely the bulls are coming back hard on this one here. We've got this little sort of corrective channel that's moving right up here now. As I said, a close outside the channel would have been ideal, but, this nice big wick here is obviously not a great sign, but it could be a bit of a sort of top coming in, but things don't usually die in one go, so you'd see another probe out the top here to really see if the bears are happy to sort of knock this one back from this level. But once you get outside here, there's no reason why you can't get a continuation of this short-term channel. Levels that you'd be looking at then would be the top of this horizontal here, which then takes you out of this large downtrend channel. So you're seeing a structure in a medium term of a change, which is then going to the top side. So what you'd be looking from this sort of point would be a sort of break clear out of here. I mean, left, right, up and down, whatever. But ultimately, come up here, retest these points here, which have been respected before. Down, probably back around I don't know how deep it would come necessarily, but you've got a couple of different support zones coming through here. But you get a bit of a pullback down here around the 1800, and then if we can find rallying, then you're looking to sort of potentially push through that 1830. So that's the ideal base case scenario for the bulls. If I was looking to sell this, I mean, obviously at the moment I wouldn't be selling this till I get a confirmation, probably down below 1763 line. But you could also look for some sells off the continuation of this resistance zone up the top here. And look, I mean, it's not guaranteed that it would work. I mean, it could still push out and it could still fail. What you could see coming back down here is a move right back down to this sort of support zone down here. And this is what I was saying before. Then you've got this sort of bit of a sideways channel going along. And the same sort of thing that we saw previously when it came out of this short-term downtrend channel was just this grind sideways. So gold's not in any hurry to sort of shoot back up. I know a lot of people are going, oh no, it's 100% it's going up or 100% it's going down, but things do not work like this, and you need to plan for both scenarios in that. And if you're 100% perma bull or perma bear, then you're going to be blinded, you're going to be biased. Like, that's just how it's going to work. So you plan for both, and then you just trade what the chart says to you and what the price action says to you. So honestly, at the moment, it's coming up very strong. I'd be looking for more buys. I wouldn't be looking for sells yet. If you get sort of, I'd expect at the very least a reaction off this sort of 1830. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get some sells happening around here. And even if it was to sort of break through, you'd expect still some sells around here at 1830 to push price back down. If you can find a bit of a rally, so if you can find, so maybe through this sort of 1800 zone, you can find some buyers. This is where I'd be looking to, if I wasn't already on board, or if I'd sort of sold some longs and that up around 1830, I've been waiting for this pullback. I'd be looking sort of probably around that sort of 1830. I mean, you can also go through and sort of see what the fibs sort of say about it. So, I mean, depending where it goes, but say it's at 1830 for the highs there. Coming back very, very close to this 23 zone here. So this gives you an 1804. It's the 23 fib line. 1800's the round number. It's obviously been a point of rejection before, so you've got a lot of wicks around this area. So the price has liked being on the sort of downside of this. Once we can prove it to get up on the top side, I'd expect this to then be an idea that this is going to be turning into a support. So this is where I'd be looking to get my buys. You've got the sort of confluence of the 23, you've got the round number, you've got the fact that it has actually been respected as a resistance zone previously. So I'd be looking for get on some buys and then sort of push up here. I mean, again, anything could happen. You could just come up here and then, you may even sort of find that this sort of thing starts happening. It starts just sort of ranging along here. But certainly sort of I would be at the moment inclined to be more looking for buys than I would be looking for sells. So that's pretty much it from me for the week. I'll do another follow-up on gold next week and see how it's all sort of played out. Good luck with your trade.